Meandering Marty here with.
Sightseeing Sally.
We're on a special trip to go check out an abandoned locomotive in the north woods of Wisconsin.
Woohoo!
Let's go check it out. Now this is a locomotive I checked out years ago. I never really did a video on it up until now. And it used to have a nameplate on it, so just before I came here I thought to myself, well, I don't have to research this train because the nameplate's on it and I can tell you what model it is and all that. Well, guess what? The bandit's got the nameplate. So if anybody knows what type of locomotive this is, leave it in the comments. So without further ado, let's go check this bad boy out. You got Sally over here checking it out. She's got a big chunk of safety glass in her hand. The old vandals were hard at work on this thing. Let's go up and check what's inside some of these doors. Looking down the side here. Let's take a peek in some of these doors and see what's inside. Looks like an air compressor of some sort, I assume. Whole bunch of gaskets laying in there, most likely from the windows that everybody smashed out. Let's go take a look in by the engine. Let's see what's up in there. And here's the engine. He's a big one. I'm going to say a 12-cylinder. Looks like there's 6 access panels on each side, so this is a 12-cylinder. You can see the turbo here, which I assume is a turbo. I don't know what these are if anybody knows, but they're big, whatever they are. Another view, let's take it, see if we look up inside the motor here. That's I believe where the exhaust's at. Here's the valve train. Easy. And you can see where they removed the label right there off the engine. Let's keep going along in the doors. The end of the motor here. Looks like a air filter, or actually might be like a turbo or a supercharger on the end here. Let's take another look. Looks like a air filter. See the air filters here. The generator, it's tied to the back of the motor. I think this is a supercharger on here or something. Maybe it's a turbo, but to me it looks like a supercharger or something. If anybody knows, let me know. What do you got here, Sally?
Somebody doesn't like somebody.
No, some more politically motivated graffiti. Everybody's got to push what political side they're on.
Oh, look, there's more of the windows, it looks like, from inside the train.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're all busted out on the ground there. See Sally's making her way up into the cab. Let's go up and join her.
Kind of looks like it's been stripped out pretty good.
It's been stripped out?
I think so. I'm surprised this isn't your water cooler.
Some electrical stuff in here. This is kind of neat because if you look at this, if you don't, the only reason I recognize this, I looked at it earlier, is you can see there's a refrigeration compressor in here. And this held a water cooler of some sorts. If I remember, there was a spigot on this the last time we were here. Somebody took it out. But this is a refrigerated water cooler in this old locomotive. Kind of neat. Let's just sit in the controls there and show us how this thing works, Sally.
Oh, sure. I too could become an engineer. Apparently, you don't need many qualifications to do that for
Sightseeing Sally the engineer.
Isn't this the throttle?
Yeah, that's a brake.
Oh, that's the brake. Okay. Well, I guess I already flunked.
I believe it's the brake. You look over here, you can see where you've put it, in what direction you want it. Rear full. I can't read it. It's rear medium, front medium, and front full, it says on there in the 4 spots for setting it. Let's take a look from your side here. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is. Because if you look down inside the little hole here, you can see all the electronics, vintage electronics. There's another handle on here for something. I'm not familiar with this, but these I think were the brakes where these air valves were, here and here.
Yeah, probably because if I learned anything from riding in the caboose when we were in Nevada, the engineer that was in the back with the caboose had said that he had to watch carefully the air brake in back because if you accidentally hit it, it would take all the air out of the system.
And break the whole train.
Yeah.
Not break as in busted, as in it would stop the whole train.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the handbrake for this actually is right behind me. It's right here. And that you tighten up on the wheels out here, and that's your parking brake. Let's see what else we got going on. Oh, what's this? Looks like a bird's nest built out of moss. Oh, got some little guys hanging out in there.
Are there baby birds in there?
Yep, take a look.
There's baby birds in there. Oh, we don't want to disturb them.
No.
Mother's probably out there like
Yeah, the old meth heads were in here. All the old wires are chopped off. Well, if they knew there was copper inside these, they would have stolen them too.
Well, don't tell them that.
Yeah, me and my big mouth.
So they want you to sub to Woodland Racing 717, but I wouldn't give them the time of day because they sat and graffitied up this train. So, sorry, ban. I'm banning Woodland Racing 717.
Here, I believe, is your speedometer, or how you do your speed. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the last locomotive I was in, they had something similar to this, but it was a little bit newer. It had the old digital numbers in there. But I could be wrong. Look at these old gauges. Yeah, I bet there was a brake on here at one time. And here.
So it was the air brake, is what you're saying.
Yeah, one is like for the locomotive, and one is, I believe, for like the cars and all that. So you can
Like with stop it like individually or what?
you need to do that because you got to separate them if you're just driving a locomotive. I mean,
Okay.
then you just have that brake. I would assume.
What's this? Obviously it doesn't work anymore because the end is cut off, but it's something.
That might have been an oiler.
What's an oiler?
It's just a hand pump where you crank it back and forth. It might have been the oil something. Could have been. Or a greaser.
Well, it doesn't look like it's oiling anything anymore.
No.
I don't know if you realize it, Marty, but you're standing on a trap door. See?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize what's under these trap doors most of the time are big batteries. There's big batteries that are normally, unless they were underneath behind you in there, they're normally under a trap door inside. They could have possibly been in there and somebody took them already, but I'm thinking they're in here, under here. Theoretically, these work a lot like our Prius. You got a engine turning a DC generator, which in turn turns DC motors. Well, just like in a Prius works the same way, you also have batteries that help you along a little bit when you need them. And I believe that's what's underneath here is the batteries.
What are those, Marty?
Looking over the top here, those silver things you talking about?
Yeah.
I assume that's where the exhaust is.
I don't know what he's doing back there, but somehow I ended up with the camera. I thought I was going to be off the clock today. What the heck? I thought I was off the clock.
You can hold the camera for a minute.
Muscle it, man. Come on, you can do it. Ooh, he did it. Seeing as I'm more of a train newbie and don't know a heck of a lot about trains, Marty's going to explain some things after I ask a few questions. Starting with, so Marty, what is that door that says sand on it? What is that for?
They actually put sand in there, and you normally pull a little rope or push a button and it'll sand the tracks. And you can actually see the hose here where the sand comes down, blows a little air, sand comes down, blows a little air with it, comes down, and it falls right on the track in front of the wheels so it can get traction. When it's wet out or cold and icy, they don't like to move.
Really? They actually put sand?
Yep, they put sand on the track.
Oh, that's something new I didn't know.
Anything else you want to see?
Well, so what's exactly going on underneath here? Like obviously that's one of the wheels. So is this the braking system here?
Well, the braking system you actually could see up on this one. You can see the shoe right here.
Oh yeah, that looks like major big shoes.
That one's kind of hidden back up there. I didn't see it like looking off the bat, but
Well, isn't this?
yep, there's where it was. Somebody took the shoe as a souvenir.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that.
What's this here for?
That's where they fill it up with either diesel or kerosene.
What is this, the tank here?
That's an air tank actually. Before
Oh.
I thought that was a fuel tank, but after going around the side here of you,
Oh, is this
and you can see the big square fuel tank here, and you can see the gauge on the side right there.
Oh, okay.
But that's the fuel tank. That's just an air tank to hold excess air.
Oh, would this be for a part of the braking system then?
Exactly. Braking or for sanding. Number 62. That actually, a lot of people don't know what that is. But that is like our RFID tags on credit cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This train will pass through certain areas, and that'll tell, you know, mission control or wherever they manage all this stuff, that this train is coming through. And if you look at a lot of rail cars, they'll have that on that too.
This? Really?
Yep, and then they'll know what's in the cars, where it's at, because they'll go past things that read them, you know. And this is designated to this locomotive probably permanently. But with rail cars, the stuff they move changes inside, so they probably, you know, adjust for that.
Oh,
But that's identifying this locomotive that's moving product, which this isn't moving anything now.
No.
So another view from the back. And we'll get a view from the other side here in a little bit. This is getting to be growing up around here, so it's getting harder to see this. But we'll get a side view from the tracks off to the side here too. And you can see at one time where they brought this in here, off on this little side track. And there she sits. And the tracks that is the main line here by looking at it. I don't think they get traveled that often. As I showed in the past, I mean, it's not shined up at all, so these are either exempt or they use them very, very, very few times a year. And by looking at the stuff growing up in the middle of the tracks, I question if they even use them at all. There's another look at it.
Now, I don't know if you realize, but a lot of urbex, they call them urbex, but abandoned lovers, explorers, there's a reason that they don't like sharing locations. Well, this is an example of why they don't like sharing locations because, as you can see, as Marty mentioned earlier, the meth heads and whoever else was coming here stealing stuff and then
The idiot with the black marker is wrote all over this thing.
vandalizing it, it just kind of, that's why people don't like to share locations. Any final words of wisdom about the train before we leave, Marty?
Yeah, if you come to visit this train, bring mosquito spray, believe me.
Yes, I'm like
You're like,
scratching all over here.
I don't know if we're in a swamp, but it's insane.
Yeah, it's really bad.